Just click it on.
All right. So I'm so sorry
That's
about the
okay.
interruption. But could you tell us one more time, like, a little bit about your background?
Sure. I currently go to school here at Damon. I'm in the graduate program for special education. And I also work here at the Thomas Reynolds Center. I work Monday through Thursday with the kids from the Amherst School District who have learning disabilities, and we help them with their homework. We also teach them different subjects that they're struggling with in ELA and math. And I also have my bachelor's here from Damon in childhood and special education.
Oh, I see. When did you start coming to Damon?
For graduate or for undergrad?
Since undergraduate?
Since undergrad, I started here in 2010.
2010.
Yes.
And you didn't, so you
And
just
I
go
just
from
went
undergraduate?
straight through school, yeah.
Oh, I see. Can you tell us how you come to this particular program? How did
Sure.
you choose this program?
Well, I liked Damon in the first place just because it was a smaller school and it just seemed the class sizes were very personable. You know the teachers one-on-one. You're not just another number in some other colleges. I know that's the case. Ever since I was younger, I always wanted to be a teacher. I just, always had a calling, I suppose, for it. And I just always enjoyed working with children. And coming through here, I decided to begin with the special education program because I knew it was a lot more marketable in the job industry. But also when I actually started going into schools and seeing the different programs, it's very rewarding at the end of the day after you work with those kids.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, what kind of component or coursework do you have in this program?
This past semester, I currently took 4 classes. Research methods in special education, learning the laws of different special education. Also, I took differentiation course, learning how to differentiate your lessons in the classroom.
It's like a differentiated instruction?
Yes, exactly.
And out of these coursework, which one do you enjoy the most?
You're putting me on the spot here because Dean Wright was one of my professors, but I have to say I did enjoy the differentiated instruction. I think it's extremely important. It's part of my philosophy for education is just being able to not just teach to the whole class, but to individually be able to reach a student, whether that be through music or math or ELA or nature, whatever the case may be. I think it's very important.
Now, what kind of class activity did you have in your differentiated instruction course?
We learned a lot of different strategies that we can use. We definitely focused a lot on the multiple intelligences for Howard Gardner and Ellen Arnold, her new revamped version of it. We actually went to a kind of like a field trip on a Saturday here. Ellen Arnold actually came here. We went to one of her lectures, which was very interesting.
You said field trip, right?
Yeah, kind of like a field trip. The whole class came, and we watched her lecture that she had.
I see, okay. And how many students do you have when you're working with the students here in this center?
In the center, I have 6 kids in my class.
6 kids?
Yeah. Overall, there's 20 altogether, and there's 3 classrooms.
Oh, I see. Altogether you have 20.
Yes, in the whole program, there's 20.
I see. So run me through what might be a typical day when you're working with the students here.
Sure. They come here on the bus, and so we bring them in. They come into the classroom, just kind of relax. We do a couple breathing exercises with them. They have snack, do
What do
some.
you mean by breathing exercises?
Just to have them calm down. Like we just have them do deep breathing, breathing in, breathing out for a minute or so. Because it's a long day. They're in school from 7 to 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Then they come here after. It's a long day for them. So after we do that with them, we kind of set them at their desks and they work on their homework that they had from that day. And if they have any questions or they're struggling with something, there's myself and I had a co-teacher as well that we worked together, and we would go around and help them with their homework. And after that, then we would, have a little break. We called it a brain break, again, so they can just revamp and kind of a transition to the next thing. They would either do, like, just dance videos where they follow along with the video. Yeah, just, just a short thing to get them into the next transition. And from there, we would work either on ELA or math. Depending on the program, we usually did about 6 weeks of each subject, so...
How old are the kids?
They're in third grade.
Third grade.
Yeah, so about
okay.
7, 8 years old.
And what kind of role do you see that you play in this whole process that you are helping these students?
Well, I like to say I'm pretty much like a teacher to them, you know, between me and my co-teacher as well that we were there. Even though we weren't there with them all day, you know, they gave us the respect in that matter that we were like a teacher to them and kind of to also help mentor them as well.
I see. So if I ask you this, like what attribute do you think you bring to the table to these students? What might you say your best attribute?
My best attribute. Probably I'm very good with working one-on-one and listening to the students rather than just lecturing to them. I like them to, you know, tell me about their day and tell me what they're struggling with and really be able to communicate that. Whereas in a class of 20-some kids in the regular school, then it's kind of difficult for them to actually do that. So I guess I really enjoy actually listening to what the students have to say.
So would it be fair to say that in a way, though, because you enjoy so much working on one-on-one and being able to listen well to the students, and somehow it's related to the differentiated instruction?
Definitely, yeah. That's why I definitely think it's one of my main philosophies within teaching.
I see. And how do the students, how do they respond to your method, so to speak?
I think they're definitely, like, they feel more comfortable communicating with me. They don't feel like they need to just move on with whatever they're struggling with. They're able to actually talk to me and try to communicate what the problems that they're actually having. And not just problems, they're actually able to just talk about their day, whether it be good or bad. So,
I see. Now, you said that you do have a co-teacher, right?
yes, yeah.
So does this co-teacher also play the same role or play a...
Yeah, she plays a very similar role. We have very similar methods in teaching, so
I
yeah,
see.
which was nice because there was 6 of us all together in the program, and they tried to set us up the best they could with who we could work best with before the program actually started. So
Now, that's when you are working with 6 students, and that's why
yes,
you give them the individual attention.
yes.
Do you expect that when you do finish your program and go out to the field?
I think it definitely depends on the classroom size I'll be put in. Also, depending on what district I would be put in. I mean, if I were in a school of general education with 25 students, I think it's going to be difficult to actually, you know, be able to work one-on-one and be able to have that kind of communication without, you know, another team member or another aide or something. So, I definitely do prefer the smaller class sizes for that reason.
Now, so in an ideal situation, you would want to go into like a district with small class size so that you could continue to
Yes.
function this way or play this role. But what if indeed you do have a large class size? What might you do then?
Definitely have to set up a system that is well run, that the students are able to communicate and be able to express if they're struggling or having problems without it being complete chaos. Hopefully having another aide in the classroom, involving parents even, to come in, like for parent help.
Now, my field is actually not in special ed, so you might have to fill me in this case. Is it still the case that when you go out to the field you have those 611 class? Or
Yes, I mean, there are for like resource room, and I know there's certain for like BOCES around here that they do have classrooms that are 611, 1211. It just depends. There's also the integration now where they try to do the integrated classrooms where sometimes there'll be like a student who is pulled in or pulled out, or else they're in an integrated classroom the whole day but with an aide. So
I see.
just depends on the district, honestly.
So it's really a big variety of
Yeah,
different
yeah.
kinds of classroom for how special ed teachers might run the classroom from small to large and to in and out.
Exactly, yeah.
I see. Now, in your opinion, do you think any of these models, how would you evaluate these different types of classroom? Are they functioning well? Are they functioning not so well? What's your take on that?
I think it really depends on the district, how they're able to handle it, what resources they have in place for these students. Obviously, the instructors are a huge portion of it, how they run the classroom, how they're able, depending on whether it's integrated or not, how they're able to run it, if they're able to have the kids work together, and it depends on the severity of the students as well, whether they're actually able to work in these environments. So it just depends, honestly, on a whole bunch of factors.
How well do you think that the students are getting information or knowledge out of these types of classrooms? So let's pretend that it's like a resource room, for
Resource room.
example.
I think for the students, I've seen classrooms where it's worked very well, where they've had the more aides and they're able to really stay on top of what the students are learning. I've also seen classrooms where it wasn't well run, where the students, whether they were working one-on-one with the teachers, that's when they really had the time and were able to learn. When they were off working on whatever else and there wasn't instructors there with them, then it was a little chaotic.
Well, tell me a little bit more about when they are not working so well. What seems to be the issue? Even though you said that it's one-on-one,
Yeah.
what makes it not work so well?
They didn't have the attention from the instructors. A lot of downtime. The instructor didn't give them necessarily something to work on. So they were just there to their own devices,
Oh, okay, so, but I'm still trying to wrap this together. So these students do have one-on-one time, but still no attention?
With the instructor themselves. They didn't have a one-on-one aide with them. It was just with the one-on-one time with the instructor for whatever the instructor was teaching to them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you say that it's down to their own devices, what do you mean by that?
They didn't have anything to work on. They were just sitting there while the other student was off with the teacher.
Oh, you mean they just sit there and just
They weren't working on it.
point blank?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. Now, let's just look at it in a more general
Sure.
kind of picture. So, what do you see in the current education system? Something that's pro and something that's con then?
For pro,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say that, excuse me, that the new standards with the Common Core, I think that's helping, that the teachers have to be more liable to what they're actually teaching, and make it more aligned to a more universal way of teaching, rather than one district or one school teaching completely different things, and when it comes down to it, it's just, the students aren't learning the same thing. I'd also say for con, the testing, I think, is becoming very harsh on the students, both in general education and special education. It's some of the students just aren't understanding it. It's requiring a lot from them, basically.
Maybe let's backtrack a little bit. You did say one of the pros is a new standard. What is
Yes.
this new standard then?
The Common Core.
Yeah, what is it? Like, could you describe that to us?
It's like a state-regulated, excuse me, well, they're trying to actually put it into all the states now. It's basically just a universal way of teaching, like, the different subjects, so ELA, math, and what the students need to do for each section within that subject. So for multiplication, they need to know this, 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 this. Making it, again, more universal for the entire country, so that New York isn't better than Texas, or Florida isn't better than, Iowa, or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
And so that would be one of the pros, is because we are, if I hear you
Trying
correctly,
to become more
that-
universal.
right, so that there's one set of standards that all the students in all 50 states will try to meet the same standards, and
Yes.
there's like a bit of a commutability. So if one student's from one state we could compare it to another state.
Yeah.
Is that what I hear?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that the Common Core is actually considered a pro, but as for con, you did say testing.
Yes, the standardized
So,
testing.
The standardized testing. Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's also part of the Common Core as well. There's a lot of different pieces to it, but I feel like for the testing, not all students are able to be tested and they respond differently to it. Also, I feel with the testing, not all of the students are going to be able to be on the same level with other students, and they're expected to for this testing.
I'm
So-
not sure I follow. Like, what do you mean by respond differently?
So, respond differently. I guess they're not all on the same level. So, for example, I saw an example when I was in one of the special ed classrooms. A student who has autism, who is in a fifth grade classroom technically, but he's actually on a second grade level mentally. They still expected him to take the fifth grade level testing, so he didn't understand it, which again caused him to have a meltdown. Which I don't. If they know that he's on a second grade level testing, why give him the fifth grade test? You know what I mean? So that's where it becomes frustrating in those cases. Some students are able to take those and they're able to ace them, but not every single student is on the same level. They need the extra time or the extra help, but they're not able to have it because of this testing.
I see. So, if I hear you, testing is kind of like a double-edged sword that,
Exactly.
right, there's a need for it if you don't have to test. How do you know this student is actually in the second grade level, but then they wanted them to do the same test as everybody else in the same age, and sometimes it causes problems.
Exactly, which kind of links also back into the differentiation problem. So,
So ideally, let's pretend that you have all the magic in the world. You could fix this. What might be your ideal?
I think instead of necessarily just giving students a pen and paper to take a test them based off of their strengths. Whether their strength may be doing pen and paper, or else you can have them actually doing something physically. Having them build something, having them create a project, a PowerPoint, whatever they're more attuned to, or whatever their strengths are. Test them in that way rather than just having, the stereotypical pen and paper, bubble in, multiple choice tests.
I see. So kind of more flexibility
Yes.
in terms of assessment.
Exactly.
And would that tie to different learning style?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Now, you are going out to Uvascula for
Yes.
4 months, is
Yeah,
that right?
about 4 months.
Okay, now, do you know what classes you might be taking out there?
I believe I am taking I'm taking an early childhood class over there. I don't remember the name exactly, but that will also give me my certification downward too, which I'm excited about. I'm also taking I think it's a family member course. I think it has to do with special education in the family system,
Oh, okay.
so that should be interesting. I'm also, all of my classes are education based. I just can't remember the names offhand.
That's okay. Now, are these typical courses? Because, like I said, I'm not too
Yeah.
familiar
I don't. All of our classes that I'm going to be taking over there somehow link to the classes that I will be taking here. So I think they're pretty similar. They might be a little bit different, but for the most part, I think it's pretty general for the classes I'd be taking.
I see. So if they are pretty similar, what differences do you expect when you go out there to take these classes?
I'm kind of excited to see that the way that the professors over there teach them, see what the differences are in the classes, how the students over there react to the professors and to the different ways of their teaching styles. I'm interested to definitely see their teaching styles over there.
And what might you expect that you're going to be gaining from this experience?
Just to see that the way that how the students learn over there, maybe be able to pick up the information that they're giving us to see how different it is from their family system or their cultural system and how the students learn over there versus how the students are learning over here.
So,
America.
all right, quick quiz time.
Sure.
Okay. So you did say that the culture is different. Have you just read up before you go, or you're just...
I did do a little
Oh, you
information,
did.
yeah.
So what did
yeah.
you find, may I ask?
Yeah, sure. I know that the school system over there, they're not big on testing. They don't do the standardized testing like we do over here, which I'm definitely interested in learning more about over there, how their teaching system doesn't implement that over there, where it's such a big part of our education system over here.
I see. Now, if they are not big on testing, how do they assess their students?
That's what I'm going over there to find out.
So, yeah, that is true, that if they are not big on testing, so what else are they doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So let's see, what else do we... Well, one last question.
Sure.
How would you, so we did talk about how you characterize the typical U.S. way of education, and you're really excited to see how the Finnish system might be different in terms of testing. Just for personal growth, I know that this is more than just you go over there taking courses. As a person, and you're traveling, what would you expect to gain from this exchange experience?
I think definitely seeing the way of life of the Finnish people, just absorbing the culture that they do day to day and just seeing the differences. I mean, as personally, I enjoy traveling. I haven't been to Europe before, so that's definitely going to be a big experience for me. And just seeing the way of life over there, what they eat, what they do day to day, different festivals they have. I know it's a big difference over there because it's a lot colder and they only have a certain amount of hours of daylight, so that's going to be different to adjust to, for sure.
You did say that you enjoy traveling. Can
Yeah.
you tell me where you have
Yeah,
traveled to?
I've been to quite a few of the states, almost all 50 states. Been up to Canada. I've been in the Caribbean before, so not too far out of the area, but yeah, so this will be the first big trip that I have.
I see. And when you travel to Canada and Caribbean, what strikes you from there that's culturally different? Because it seems like you do enjoy seeing the differences,
Yeah.
right? So,
Definitely, when going more so Canada is pretty similar to here, but I know definitely when I went down to the Caribbean, just the people are, how they present themselves are different. They were a lot more laid back, I noticed. The food's a little different, but definitely, I'm adventurous with food, so that wasn't a problem. Just, the culture, the way that they go from day to day is just a little different, a little slower pace than it is here more so.
I wonder if they are going to be laid back also in Finland.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they will be over there, but it'll definitely be interesting to see.
Well, I guess that kind of sum up our interview. So I know that you haven't been there just yet,
Yeah.
so you would have a lot more to share in this portion.
Oh, definitely.
Once you're there to talk about the differences and that sort of thing. So anything else you wanted to add before we conclude this interview?
Just that I'm excited to see what, Finland's going to bring and the differences, so I'm definitely excited to go over there.
Well, thank you so much. Take a lot of pictures.
Yes, I will.
Right?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.